Have you ever liked a painting when you made it and then it wasn't too long afterwards you realize that's not good? Ever stack finished paintings up against the wall and then forget about them? And then later you find out that's not good either? Or maybe you're cleaning your studio and you come across a stack you forgot about. Or, this is a common one for me, is I get so far into the painting and I don't know where to take it from there. I don't know how to finish it, so I set it aside. Hi, I'm pastelist Avon Waters, and welcome to my channel. It's dedicated to helping you artists not have to suffer through some of the trials and tribulations to get where you want to go. Today's episode is all about my thought process of how I sort through some of these issues with paintings. Today I'm going to take a little 6x6 and I'm going to show you my thought process and share with you that thought process as I go into this. I can't speak for everybody, but I think a lot of artists have had some of those circumstances where the painting just isn't right from the beginning. I think a lot of artists out there are like me. They've had to go through some of those things. Over the years, paintings start to pile up for various reasons. You thought they were done only to figure out they're not. You thought you liked it only to find out that's not really good. Or you got as far along and you thought it was a really good painting, but several years later you kind of pull it off the wall. You might have even framed it, and you pull it off the wall and say, I got to work on that. I think I can make it better. Because in art, we often don't know what we don't know until we learn it. So we're going along thinking, based on our past experiences, that's pretty good. I like that. Boy, I think I've done a really good job today. Only to find out years later that you've learned so much more. And as I said, one of the common things is you get so far along in a piece and you're not sure how to finish it because you don't have the skills yet. You can see, I recently had a studio move and I've stacked a number of framed paintings and unframed paintings up along the studio wall. I have an area I call a fermentation wall, and here's some of the paintings that are currently on it. And periodically through the year, this wall gets filled and I have to decide which ones am I going to frame, which ones am I going to enter into competitions, and which ones am I just going to stack up and work on later. Out of sight, out of mind. It's not always take it off the wall and do a little bit of work on it and it's ready to go. Sometimes you have to wash it off. Sometimes you can save it by applying alcohol or other solvents, and you get these interesting little drips and these interesting little runs that you can then follow and make a better painting. And it may turn out completely different than what you started with years ago. This is a little piece that I did during a workshop at a local art center. And I'll do a number of these really quick to give the students a chance to work on things. And this was a study, from the looks of it, it looks like it was a study about using harmonious colors. Could even be a study on monochromatic studies. Whatever the reason, it just stopped and was put away because I kind of liked some of the light and the things going on in here. When I come back to an older piece, the first thing I look at and I ask myself is, what's actually bothering me about this painting? Having kept it, I knew I wanted to do something with it. So the first question I ask, what's the composition like? In assessing this piece, it's still good because the composition is what we call a steel yard. It's got a heavy weighted subject on one side. It has kind of a fulcrum that goes across here and a lighter weighted subject on this side. And a fulcrum point in the middle. Doesn't have to be underneath, but in this particular case, it's kind of in the middle there. Well, that's one of the issues. This is good, but this issue of it right here in the middle. This needs to be, it's too heavily weighted, 1, 2, 3. It needs to be slid one side or the other. Another thing I'll look at are the color values. Are the temperatures, are they too high, are they too low, are they spread apart from, if they were in gray, black to white. This particular piece, I really like the light quality in here. This is the sky coming up over us, and so it's a little bit darker. This is lighter going back. So we've got a good sense of depth in this piece right here. Color temperatures of these are not too far off, and the perspective is not too far off. And the values, I've got darker values here, lighter values going off into the distance, darker values coming up overhead. So the values aren't too far off. They're not objectionable. Another point is the reason that I really want to redo this is because of the focal point. It's not in the dead center, but it is in the center between these two large masses. So I kind of like this light hitting this thing, this bush, and doing some rim light. But I need to either move it over here or I need to move it over in here. So it's not right in the dead center. So that's going to be my focus to try to fix this. I'm just taking an oil painting brush here and I'm going to knock off some of the pastel so that I get back to some tooth that's underneath there, and it's doing a real good job taking that underneath there. If I wasn't doing an instructional video, I'd probably get my sketchbook out and I would re-sketch this painting as it is and move this light area one way or the other. And I'm liking the way that the light comes through on the rims of these trees. This may be a situation where I just take a wild guess today and slide it over one direction or the other. I'm going to get a little light blue because we kept that thing in a light tone to give it that highlight. So if we had a little bush that was catching some light maybe behind this big clump of trees here, the trees come out here, this bush might be just on the other side of the shadow cast by those trees. So I'll stick some blues in there. I'll get some, this is a blue-green, and I'm going to reestablish this. The problem with this is I've got to get some violet back behind this. So we'll take some of that violet that's off in the distance of some of those trees, fill in where this thing was. And that violet, this is another reason I think I've gone to the right side instead of the left side with this, is because as these trees go across in the distance beyond some pasture or green space, you see they get wider. So when I put something light against there, I'm going to get a popping little contrast. I'd probably work on this a little bit more, but I think you get the idea now of how I assess it. Now we stick that rim light back. This is a yellow-green, and the reason it pops against violet is yellow and violets are opposites. So I've used my knowledge of color to try to get this little bush, this burning bush, to do something for us. I'm going to add a little bit of, we've got earthy greens up in these trees. I'll add a little bit in there. Now there's different ways when you come across these paintings. Let me just talk to you while I finish this. There's different ways that you can assess and decide what you're going to do. This was an easy one because it just needed a little bit done after a demonstration at a workshop. Stick your paintings underneath the sink and just wash off the pastel. Let the substrate dry. It's a little hard with unmounted paintings. You'll get some warpage and have to deal with that. Another way is to just take a brush off the old pastel, and you'll get some stains left from where the pastel was, and those stains might actually inform you as to how to fix that painting and make it different. Sometimes you can just take your hand and wipe across some of these paintings and these pastels, and what's left will inform how to make some of the changes there. I like to take mediums sometimes. So if running your hand across or sticking it under the water, that's kind of complete destruction. Controlled destruction, you can sometimes take alcohol or water on a brush and brush over some of those images that are on that pastel, and it will leave marks that you can follow and help make improvements on the pastel. So there's a ton of options. It just depends on the piece that you pick up. You know, you may have to unframe a piece and just start all over with it because you know so much more now than when you framed the thing and thought that you could display it, exhibit it, put it in competitions and such. So each piece is going to, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but whether you run it under the faucet, rub it off with your hands, use some alcohol or other mediums to spread the paint around and create little ghosts to follow. These are all possible solutions for some of those paintings that build up over the years and get stacked up on the studio and studio walls. I think this painting Needs more work up in here and up in here, and to create some sky holes that make sense. But you can see that I've moved this thing from dead center so that I've got like a couple more elements on this side of the painting versus this side with some open space. Still using our steel yard composition. That's a little bit of an insight into how to do that. See, I could play with this with my newfound knowledge from the years ago that this thing was created. I could keep playing with this thing and come up with more ways to improve this as I keep going through here. Okay, hopefully that's given everybody a little shot at how I approach some of these remakes. But again, you've got your options to wash it off completely, wash it off partially, wipe it down, stick it under running water. There's all sorts of things that you can do in order to take some of those old paintings, get rid of some of all those stacks and stacks of stuff that build up in our studios. Okay, everybody, until next time, happy painting. My channel and my free tutorials are all about helping you artists not to have to make some of the simple mistakes that you can avoid. You're still gonna make mistakes, you're still gonna have a learning curve. I can't eliminate all the pain for you, but hopefully today helps some. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, please hit the like button and share with your friends. So until next week, everybody, happy painting and so long.